Okay, so with problem 15, there's quite a few in this one. It's A through F. I'm going to just do 2 at a time per video, so just make sure you pay close attention to what video is labeled what. So in this first one, I'm just going to do A and B. B, of course, is going to take us a few more minutes to kind of unpack, depending on how you were taught. I'll try to cover both. So let's look at 15A. Notice the bases are the same, so that goes back to that one-to-one property. That worked out really good. But here, when we set our exponents equal to each other, we do get quadratic. So we should be able to face a quadratic with as much ease as we always have. And so here I'm going to decide to use factoring since it can be done, and it's going to be a negative and a negative. So when I solve, I get x equals 1 and x equals 3. It's exponential, so I don't really have to stress too much about checking, but you're welcome to check it. But these are the 2 answers that we get. Next, let's unpack this. This looks intimidating because we have e in the problem, and it does kind of resemble when we learned quadratic in form, and it is quadratic in form. And so I'm going to try to break this up into 2 ways. One with just straight up factoring with keeping the e in it, and then I'm going to do the u substitution over here, and of course you'll discover we get to the same answer. And so stay with me for just a few minutes while we do this. If you didn't learn it using factoring, well then just skip ahead and do the u substitution method. So here, since it's 2x, that must have been we had to have e to the x times e to the x. That would have given us e to the 2x. Now, 2 numbers that multiply to get 8 that add up to be -6 would be 4 and 2, and they would both be negative. And so this is with me factoring it. This, of course, when I go to solve it, I would get e to the x equals +2. E to the x gives me +4. E to the x, not e to the 2. How do we solve for x, though? This is the tricky part, and so then you need to rewrite it. That would be natural log with the base e of 2 equals x. This would be natural log of 4 equals x. That's just me rewriting it in logarithmic form, but remember, since the base is e, that would be the same. Then you would essentially put both of these in your calculator, just like you see it, and you would get x equals 1.3863 and x equals 0.6931. I may have those backwards. I'll have to double check that. Now let's come over here where we would have done u substitution. And so what does that mean? Well, that means every place that we have an e to the x, I'm going to replace it with a u. And so why do we do this? It just makes it where then the form that we see is a little bit easier to swallow. So here, if you think of the original problem, e, if you think of it as e to the x squared minus 6e to the x plus 8 equals 0. Now this will be replaced with our u squared minus 6u plus 8 equals 0. This one looks way more like quadratic, like we've always known them to be. So when you factor, you're now factoring with the u. U equals 2, u equals 4, but then you have to back sub since we were originally after x. And you notice that we get to the same point, whether you're using u substitution or factoring. You get x equals natural log of 2, x equals natural log of 4. Now I can look at my calculator real quick to determine this, and this might help some people figure out how to put it in your calculator. So here we would go natural log 2. That one is our 0.6931. So then that must make this one the 1.38663. Hope this helps.